Room 442 is presented by North Star Bets. That's a win. Happy Monday and welcome into Room 442. I'm joined alongside James Sharman, Michael Singh, and myself, Sarah Ferrari, of course. And it is time for headlines. Gentlemen, it was a busy weekend. The FA Cup, the Premier League, across the City and La Liga, of course. But James, we'll start with your headline for the weekend, which is one that I happen to like a lot. Lionel Messi arrives in Barcelona alongside his family and 15 suitcases as speculation ramps up over a possible summer return to the new camp.
Yeah, I felt a bit guilty using this one because there's so many great stories in this past weekend, right? Actual footballing stories on the pitch, from FA Cups to Wrexham to the league battles, Bayern Munich losing, Barca being Atletico. But I chose Messi simply because I'm beginning to come around to the idea that he could be going back to Barcelona more and more now. You've been saying it for months, and I thought you were crazy. But it does seem that seems to be the natural fit. And the fact that Barca met with La Liga last week and they presented their plans, financial plans moving forward, and that would validate a Messi move, again, tells me that something is really happening here. What's in the suitcases? I'm assuming
Did
money.
he actually show up with 15 suitcases?
Well, I didn't count them myself, but listen, when the Daily Mail reports something, you know it's definitely true.
That's true.
No sensationalizing in that tabloid whatsoever. But yes, it could be full of money, although it should be going the other way in that case. But how great is that? Add in that the destination in MLS into Miami are a gong show right now, an absolute mess. Why would you want to go there at the moment? So I'm thinking you could be right, Sarah. Leo Messi back to Barcelona to close out his storied career, at least before the World Cup. Maybe then he'll make his move somewhere else, but
Sure.
that should put a smile on everyone's face, except for people in La Liga.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a possibility. It's becoming stronger and stronger when you hear some of these reports that come out. I don't know, is La Liga willing to offer or get every team in the league to pay for some of Messi's salary? Because apparently that's what MLS is trying to do.
That's what MLS is trying to do. Shock.
Yeah, I know.
A league buys a player. Like that's who this guy is. But no, I think it would benefit La Liga because think about since Ronaldo and Messi have left, I know that the viewership has gone down. Like it's not as exciting as it was, and I can understand for them. You have the best player ever coming back to your league. People are going to watch. People are definitely going to watch those games more.
And the fact is, if he wants to go there, he can go there because he's a free agent, right? So he can sign for $50 a month if he wants to.
If he wants.
Don't think he will.
Is there?
But he could if he wanted to. I mean, listen, if the Saudis are coming and offering $350,
and he's turning it down,
and he's saying now, then he wants some decent money at least, respectful money from Barcelona, obviously.
Sure.
Is there a worry or concern at all that, because Lionel Messi had such an amazing career at Barca, and I know the way it ended wasn't exactly the prettiest, but is there a concern at all that at this age, going back to Barcelona, he may, leave a bad taste in the mouths of Barcelona if he doesn't have an amazing season once again?
Second time around not being quite the same as the first time around.
But what would make you think he's not going to have an amazing season after what he's still capable of doing?
He's 36 by the time he gets there.
Yeah, and it's a season's a lot different than a tournament in the World Cup, right? We know
it's
he
not
was
just
ramping
that.
up
He's
for
still
that.
performing with PSG. He has the most assists in the league.
Against who?
Have you seen his goals? I don't know. I think Messi is still performing, and I think he'd be much happier doing it for a team that he loves versus Paris that kind of just hasn't been what I think he wanted it to be.
Plus, I think most Barcelona fans understand that they're not getting a Leo Messi of 2012. They're getting a guy in his mid-30s who's still really good, but not quite the same. And quite frankly, I think Leo Messi has enough credit at that club that he could be Mikey Singh at Barcelona and still be beloved and accepted.
They would love him. What are you talking about? No.
Grafter.
But then, I guess, is there an expectation that Messi comes and revives Barcelona?
Yeah, for sure. But they're also going to have to sell several of their players in order to make space for
But they are
Messi.
champions again this year. You say revive them. They're still league champions.
League champion. First time since, 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
so
the thing is I think we all look at it because they crashed out of the Champions League yet again, but they're going to win the league. I don't know. I think the fans, speaking from a fan just right now, as a fan, I think we would just be happy to see him back in the Barcelona shirt, back to the team that he grew up in, he played with, he did everything. I think that's the bigger thing. If it doesn't work out, then it's like, you know what, at least he came home, closed the chapter, and did it on his terms.
What if this is leverage for a bigger deal from the Saudis or from MLS.
400.
How would that make you feel as a fan?
I'd be
15 suitcases, Sarah.
I'd be devastated.
Barcelona's going crazy right now.
Yeah.
15 suitcases. He's staying.
Well, he has a home there. He visits a lot.
Yeah.
Like him, Luis Suarez, and Jordi Alba had dinner a couple months ago in Barcelona. They're still hanging out.
It's just like Seba. Seba always used to come visit Toronto. Everyone's like, oh, Seba's coming back. Maybe this is just one of those things. But
He
I don't
loves
know.
it here.
Maybe, hypothetically, Lionel Messi will go to Barcelona and, individually he'll have a great season, but the team might not have success. And then the following year, he'll try and force his way out of the club, and the club might not want him to leave at that point. And then maybe he'll have a one-on-one sit-down with a guy like Piers Morgan and just rip the club.
Yeah.
And then
That's a great idea. It worked last time.
potentially tarnish his legacy.
Yeah,
No,
that's
see,
potential.
Messi's a much smarter.
Then try and choke
smarter
someone
footballer.
and tackle them in a nondescript match that no one
Messi would
cares
never
about.
do a sit-down
Fast-forward
interview though. He doesn't like he's.
Oh, how boring would that be?
Well, it would be
be a
it would be in
terrible
Spanish,
interview.
so that would be for sure. But he's not. He doesn't really do like he's so like closed off and stuff. Like I feel like he would just be like, no thanks. But anyways, we have to move from Lionel Messi. It's been a lot of Messi here. But we're moving on to Mikey's headline, who instead of talking about his club winning and going to the FA Cup final, he took some time to take a shot at Tottenham. Broken Tottenham are paying the price for 4 years of bad decision. That's right. Tottenham lost to Newcastle over the weekend in the Premier League 6-1. 5 of those goals coming in the first 21 minutes, for Newcastle. Mikey, tragic game for Tottenham.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna do United, but I'm like, we talk about United all the time here. Let's change it up a little bit. And I thought that this story in particular wouldn't have got some of the coverage because of some of the other stories that are going on. But Newcastle, first of all, let's give some credit to Newcastle. We said before on Friday that they need to find a way to bounce back, right? They absolutely bounced back in this one in emphatic fashion. Like you said, going up 5-0 21 minutes into this match. But on the other side of it is Tottenham. And, we were talking about what could they do differently at this point. And it seems like the problem just keeps going back to Levy. And maybe that in order for this team to, get back on track a little bit here, they might need to, get rid of Levy and just completely do a complete overhaul. Maybe that means selling Harry Kane. Maybe that means selling Son. Maybe that means just completely gutting the club. But they need to do something to get this team back on track.
Yeah, I know it's easy to blame Levy, and in many cases rightfully so. I mean, it has been some bad decision-making after bad decision-making, but at some point the players have to take responsibility, right? And the coach, who's been criticised since Conte left, being too much like Conte, hammered in the press, so finally said, okay, well, I'll play a back four, unlike Conte, and it was a terrible mistake. He can't win. And the players, I mean, who performed in that game really out of Spurs? Kane looked up for it. No one else. Pathetic, right? So, I mean, yeah, you can blame Levy and he brings the players in, so I guess it's you cut off the head of the snake to kill the snake, right? I suppose. It's been a long time there, but he also brought that board of directors a beautiful new stadium. They made lots of money. He does a lot of things right, which they love.
Yeah.
From a footballing standpoint, it's all gone wrong, from Patatici being let go because of his issues at Juventus, the sporting director. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong this year, but they're still in 5th place.
Yeah, that's the thing. When we look at the table, you actually realize for what Tottenham have done this season, they're not doing that bad. Yeah, they're fighting for, UCL contention, and that is their biggest priority. And if they don't get it, it's not going to be great. But they are only 5th. But every time I feel like we speak about them in this, the football is boring, the club is a disaster, players aren't playing, coaches are getting sacked. But it's not, I don't think it's as bad as it seems. Or is it? I don't know, because I do feel like it's bad. But when you look at the table, like I'd expect them to be in like 10th with the way, with the way they are
Chelsea.
playing. Yeah, exactly. But no, they're not.
Yeah, like when you look at the table alone, but we know that football is just so much more than the table, especially for a club like Tottenham. Like, okay, Tottenham's not winning trophies, but the one thing that they absolutely did year in, year out was play attractive, exciting football, one that fans can get behind. They've gotten away from that. So not only are they now not winning trophies, they're not putting out an entertaining product on the field. And, you mentioned Levy's done such a great job from the business standpoint of the club. I look at that and compare it to sort of Ed Woodward at Manchester United. Yeah. Ed Woodward was so brilliant at the football, at the business side. And, he was making good commercial signings. He was selling jerseys. Business-wise, he's doing really well. But, as now Ten Hag's come in and they've got a completely new recruitment strategy, you start to see that maybe you don't need the big names to necessarily move your football club forward. Because speaking from a Manchester United perspective, there's more excitement now behind Manchester United, despite the fact that we might not have some of the same big names that we used to go after, but you still feel more excited watching this football club. It's more about the product they're putting on the field than it is, I think,
yeah, for sure. And I agree with that. But from Levy's standpoint, he brought in Conte, he brought in Paratici as this combo, had great success, and everyone said, wow, we got these guys, this is brilliant. And it all went pear-shaped.
That's exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
And so he did try and address the guy that would address the football, right? And it didn't work out. So is he the reason why it's now failed? That was a bad call in the end, although most Spurs fans were delighted when they signed Conte. They couldn't believe it, right? So for next year, they've got to bring in a sporting director and a head coach. There's some big names out there right now. But you've got to strike while the iron's hot as well, I think, before they get snapped up by the Chelseas of the world. Get your man now, because it is a big club. It's a destination. Playing in London is a huge destination for big
new
name
stadium,
footballers.
As you said, they're putting money into the club.
Yeah, it's a great club to play for. They are like the Leafs in so many regards. They treat the players so well. Everything's cushy for them. They just can't quite get that winning part down right now.
And that's the thing. Like, they've gotten the managers wrong, right? They got Mourinho wrong. They got Conte wrong. But like you said, when you hear those names, Spurs fans are like, yeah, let's go. But it's not about the names anymore. Like Manchester United were so excited when we signed Angel Di Maria, right? Great name, but was he the best fit at the club? Great player. Is he the best fit at the club? That's the one thing that you got to really take a step back and analyze. Like, they went from Pochettino to eventually a guy in Mourinho who plays completely different style of football. Yep. Antonio Conte, completely different style of football than what the Spurs DNA were used to, and I don't think it suits the players at all. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you're making that appointment after appointment, some of the blame has to fall on the guy who's making those decisions.
Yeah, I agree. James, really quick, I just want to hear what you have to say about Mr. Hugo Lloris, who went off at halftime.
He was injured, sir.
Allegedly, he was injured. A bit fishy, that one, no?
I spoke to my good mate Craig Forrest, right, former professional Premier League goalkeeper, and he just rolled his eye and said, yeah, you can't do that. You're the captain. You get out there no matter what. Now, unless it's got, he's got a blown ACL or something.
Yeah, you're going to feel bad.
But you have to stand up for your team, in that situation. You've been out for a while as well, and you put poor old Fraser Forster in there. He just, cannon fodder at that point. He actually kept the game somewhat respectable in the end. Well, 6-1's not respectable, but it was 5-0 at that point. So, not a good look. Lloris is done at that club. He's leaving. That's one of the positions they've got to look at this summer and spend a lot of money on a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, completely different sport, but look at Andrei Vasilevsky with the Lightning. Like, he was down, 5 or 6-2 heading into the third period.
He refused to come out.
And he refused to come out of the game in a sport where it's more common for goalies to be pulled. So,
die for the cause.
Don't love that look. Don't love that look.
All right, guys. Finally, on to my headline over the weekend. Bayern Munich concede 3 goals in 15 minutes to suffer third defeat under Thomas Tuchel. Bayern are now second in the Bundesliga because Eintracht Frankfurt lost Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund beat them 4-0, so they have a comfortable 1-point lead over Bayern. But comfortable. Thomas Tuchel now has tied Julian Nagelsmann for defeats with the club. So that's all I have to say about that. James, is it not just what's going on at Bayern Munich? Is it Oliver Kahn and the boys upstairs?
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's still a very good squad. It's second place in Germany. We're just so used to them being in first place and rolling to championships that when they're not, we think, what's wrong? There's something inherently wrong at that club. But obviously, there's not been a great year or so for the top brass. It's a tough team to play for. Nagelsmann found that out. He got canned not because of the football. He got canned because of issues and his dealing with the ownership. Didn't work out. They bring in Thomas Tuchel, who had his issues at Chelsea with ownership as well. Hasn't quite worked out. I said it last week. They lost Lewandowski last year, right? They haven't replaced him. And if they had a hitman up top, they'd be in a better position than they are right now.
Yeah.
Choupo-Moting is not the same player as Lewandowski, right? Serge Gnabry is not the same player. So they sold their greatest striker in modern era and didn't replace him. I think it comes down to that.
Yeah.
He is so important for that team, absolutely. Although he is going through a little bit of a slow patch right now, my understanding, at Barcelona. Maybe it was the right time to let go of him, maybe not. I honestly don't know. But bearing the lead here, biggest story for Bayern Munich on the weekend, Alphonso Davies out for potentially the rest of the season now with
with Canada going into a
hamstring
Gold
injury.
Cup in June.
That's huge, but yeah, no.
It'll be fresh for the Gold Cup. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Strategy. Shifting things back to the Bundesliga, though, the Bundesliga is insane right now.
Yeah.
Like the Premier League, okay, like their race has been crazy all season, but it's really been Arsenal and Manchester City all year. La Liga's been wrapped up for a few weeks now, right? And so has the Serie A. This table, I'm looking at it right now, I have it in front of me. Even Leverkusen, I'll go all the way down to them because shout out Xabi Alonso. He has his team on a 13-game unbeaten run right now since taking over. He could be potentially the next great manager to slowly rise up because he's doing an unbelievable job with Leverkusen. But you go from first to sixth, there's a 13-point gap. So maybe that's a little bit too big. But first to fifth, it's 9 points. It's really anybody's game here down the stretch. Just so refreshing to see out of this league because, like you said, James, it's usually just Bayern Munich running away with it. But this is going to come down to sort of the last couple of games here. And
I will say Bayern Munich only has to play one in the top 6 in their last couple of games.
That could
Their
be the
schedule
difference.
looks all right. They just have to play Leipzig. But yeah, I don't know. I feel for Julian Nagelsmann. I've said it before. I feel like the way he went out, and it's kind of just, I'm laughing a bit in the corner here, just being like, you thought this was going to work out. You treated people poorly, and now your whole club is falling apart to the point where we're hearing now Sadio Mane's out. Thomas Muller might not be on the squad next year. They're doing a whole renovation of this club. Yeah, it seems.
Well, it's time Miller left, isn't it?
Yeah.
Listen, what a legend for that club and
34?
for his country. Love
But
him,
is he not someone, even on the bench, that you just like, he is such a
maybe he's a ghost of
Bayern.
the past. Though. You sometimes exercise those ghosts and move forward, right, with a new look team.
Yeah.
Spend some money. But yeah, I think the biggest story there this year maybe has been Mane.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, this hasn't worked out. Now he's punching teammates. You know, he kind of personifies what's wrong with that club this season. It's a real shame, isn't it, for those that aren't Bayern Munich fans, to see a dynasty after dynasty after dynasty struggle. That's great.
You talked about it. It was such a weird time for them to sack Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
And now they've got bounced in 2 cup competitions, obviously the Champions League and then the German Domestic Cup. So then the league is all they have left, but now they're slipping up in that too. It is.
But maybe Tuchel isn't the second coming of Sir Matt Busby after all. You know, maybe he's got some issues there, right?
Or maybe it just takes time for a manager to come in the middle of the season and really understand your squad and how to get the best out of your players. But it's not great to see Mane go at Sane and everything else that's
isn't
happened.
the managerial across Europe, you know, with the Tuchel situation, Lampard coming back didn't work out, Potter leaving Brighton, they're amazing. It's such a weird managerial carousel this season.
Shout out to Zerbi because he's.
Although I'm beginning to wonder if anyone could coach that team and they'd be brilliant. Really, I mean, you watch that team and they lost to United, and listen, we should give respect to United. But Brighton were brilliant in that game, right? You watch, McAllister. He's just so much fun to watch.
I get why you're saying McAllister right now. I see the links to Liverpool.
Oh, a lot of them
all
right
of a
now.
sudden.
But Matoma, like this, every position. You know, Casado. He's best player on the pitch.
Yeah.
Right? Just incredible. They keep doing
They
this.
honestly give me serious Leicester City vibes, though.
Yeah.
Where like they have this like veteran
They're better than
back
Leicester City back
line
then. Though.
Yeah.
that I think are doing really well in unison, and then you look at their individual pieces, and
They got the flair.
if you slowly pick those players apart, I think it's inevitably going to happen.
Well, okay.
What happens to that club next?
How is Webster and Dunk not England's starting centre back partnership? How?
Harry Maguire, obviously.
But I mean, every position, right? They're strong in every single position, and one guy gets sold, they bring some new kid in, and it works. It's just a great story, and it won't last forever. You know, they'll be found out eventually. You can't keep doing this, but right now, Brighton are just a ray of sunshine in an otherwise cloudy sky, and
One of the
European
best
football.
stories in the Premier League this season, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that is it from us today for headlines, but lots coming up this week with a massive midweek clash. Arsenal taking on Manchester City in the Premier League. We'll have you covered with everything that's going on there.
Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.